Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live daily on Bookmap Discord and the Bookmap YouTube channel at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And before I go any further, let me go through the disclosures. General disclosure. All Bookmap limited materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure. Trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. And let me remind everyone that the focus of my presentation and the focus of the Options with Doug channel and Bookmap Discord is options, order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading. The first is planning. I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and then how those positions change from day to day to help develop a thesis regarding the volatility and expected range for the day, as well as a directional bias. And that happen. Other traders may use technical analysis or fundamental analysis. I use positional analysis, and I think this is a new way of looking at the market, and I think it provides a significant edge. And then the second step in my process is execution. And I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and also to find setups for the day. So the positional analysis, the thesis for the day, is just that. It's what you expect to happen, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is going to happen. And we'll see some of that today. So again, I always confirm my thesis with Bookmap, with price action, and with market maker hedging flow shown by Spotgamma Hero. So as Bruce always says, order flow rules. So it's important to develop a thesis, but again, that doesn't always play out. And questions and comments are welcome. On topic questions and comments. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get started. So what I'm going to talk about today, just a quick review of some news items, economic data that's coming out later on in the week. And then I'll go over the position analysis for today in the S&P 500. And then I want to do a review of a setup yesterday in SPY, just as education and emphasis on that setup. And then finally, I'll look at setups for today. So first of all, quickly, the news, and I cover that because it could have an impact on how traders are positioned and also price action. Now, the economic data coming out this week is nothing compared to last week with the CPI report and the FOMC meeting and announcement. But nonetheless, it's important to keep that in mind. So tomorrow, Wednesday, there's a consumer confidence report. I believe that comes out at 10 a.m. And then on Thursday, there's the GDP report that comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then Friday, the PCE and durable goods orders. That data comes out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And then consumer sentiment at 10 a.m. Okay, let's go over our position analysis for today for the S&P 500. So first of all, this is the the S&P 500 futures, and the support and resistance levels that are in play today are shown on this chart, with the exception of a SPY level that I'm not showing, that it has been a significant level today. And let's just go ahead and take a look at that right now. And that is this 382 level that was noted as resistance, or as a support resistance level in the founder's note. And so we can see here that it definitely acted as resistance between 10:30 and 11 a.m. and it looks like SPY is up to that level again. So let's go back to ES now. And what I'm showing on my chart are, again, this is ES, and I have two columns here with notes. This SG column is Spotgamma cloud notes, and these are provided by Spotgamma, updated daily, and they're showing SPX levels converted to the equivalent ES level. So they're adding 25 points to the ES level. And then this column called labeled C levels is my notes, and I'm marking the key support and resistance levels that were shown in the AM Founders Note from Spotgamma, as well as other levels like this this SPX 30 ES 3850 level, and then there's the SPY 380 key gamma strike shown there. Okay, so those are the support and resistance levels that are in play today. And one important thing to note is this level, the put wall, the 3800 support level, held this morning. And then, again, we saw that the SPY 382 level above acted as resistance. So that, that just goes to show how important tracking both SPX and SPY levels are if you trade ES. Okay, shifts in levels. And there were just a few shifts in levels. And again, remember, when I talk about positional analysis, I look at how these positions change from day to day. And yesterday there were a number of shifts lower. Just about all the key levels shifted lower. Actually, that was on Friday and yesterday as well. So today the SPY put wall shifted down from 375 to 380 to 375. And let's take a look at a note about that. And this was noted in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note, and talking about put positioning lower at SPX and SPY strikes, and noting this addition of puts at the 360 SPY level, SPY strike, and then the SPY put wall shifted down to 375, and noting that put walls rolling lower are bearish indications from their data, from their stats. That's what that indicates. So that is SPY, and also the for QQQ, the call wall rode lower, as well as the key gamma strike. So the key gamma strike for QQQ dropped from 280 to 270. So some shifts in levels, not as much as the last couple of days. And now let's take a look at the S&P 500 charts. And actually, let me just take a look at one other thing. There was, in addition to this note in the AM Founders note, there was also this noting the build in the put positions, and you can see the significance. This is the zero line, and showing the teal lines show put gamma, and the black lines show call gamma. So let's go to the S&P 500 charts, and this is showing the SPX, and note that the 4,000 level is still the key gamma strike. So that's the strike with the highest absolute gamma, and 3,800 is the put wall, and that is the level with the highest net negative gamma. And the call wall is the call wall is the 3835 level, and that is the call strike of the JP Morgan collar. So my understanding of the JP Morgan collar is that they sell a call and then buy a put spread, and the again, the 3835 is the call of that collar. Okay, let's take a look at SPY now. And here, note the significance, as as the note in Spotgamma, the AM Founders note pointed out, the significance of all the puts from the 360 level, 365, 370, 375, up to 380. And again, 375 is the put wall, and 380 is the key gamma strike. And one other thing that we can look at to confirm that is the shifts in open interest. So what the black lines are showing is so first of all, we're looking at put data and looking at the volume, and that's shown by the black lines, and then the open interest change. So this is highlighting the increase of open interest. Those are positions that are held for at least one day. So that information comes out once daily, sometime during the night. And so traders were adding to positions that are, they could expire Friday, or they could be longer term. And then let's take a look at some data here. And this is something that I watch closely and note every day, is the shifts in gamma notional. So both gamma notional for SPX and SPY shifted more negative. So yesterday SPX was minus 590, and today it is minus 677, and SPY shifted from minus 1732 to minus 2176. So what this means, this is the market maker's position on the gamma curve, and you can see that it is very negative, and that indicates that in this region of the gamma curve, traders are long puts and market makers are short puts, and as price drops, they have to sell futures to hedge their delta exposure, and that works the other way around. As price rises, they can buy back those short futures. So that in a negative gamma environment, what that does is tends to increase volatility, since market makers are trading in the direction of price. And just note also that the other measures of gamma have also gone negative or become more negative, and that is shown by this Spotgamma gamma index, as well as this CP gamma tilt. So this is a call put ratio adjusted for gamma, and it's their proprietary, Spotgamma's proprietary measure. Okay, so again, the note, the thing to note here is the shift down in the gamma curve. And one other way to view that is to look at this Vanna chart. And the way to interpret that is to, I'm just using a pen tool to draw a line through here on my screen. And what this is showing is how market makers' delta exposure, their delta notional, increases or changes with changes in price, implied volatility, and time. So the green line shows how market makers' delta exposure changes with changes in price and implied volatility, and that is the Vanna effect. And then the black line shows how their delta exposure changes with time as time passes to the next expiration, and that is the charm effect. And need to know let me just note to him that the stream is live now. I can't seem to get to that. And Carmo, let me get back to you on that. And let me check for questions in YouTube. Okay, no questions in YouTube. Okay, so putting all this together, I see that market maker's position has shifted more negative further down the gamma curve. And let me just show you what I'm talking about with this gamma curve. Clear that. Is this right here? This is for SPX. So it's shifting further down on this gamma curve. And again, that means market makers are short puts, and they have to sell futures as price decreases, and they can buy them back as price increases. So increased volatility is what you would expect in a negative gamma environment. So putting all this together, my thesis was bearish for the day, and that is based on the shifts lower in the levels. There has been a decrease or put wall and call wall, or put wall and the key gamma strike for SPY, for example, have shifted lower, and to me that indicates an interest in lower strikes and somewhat of a bearish or negative sentiment as these levels shift lower. And that doesn't mean that ES and SPX and SPY are going out, down every day, but that was my thesis and expectation for the day. Okay, I want to now go over a review a setup from yesterday, and this is SPY. And I did talk about this yesterday, but I want to go over it again for emphasis. And this is something that I do every day, is develop this. I have this spreadsheet with all the stocks in my watch list, and I note the key gamma strike. And again, that's the strike with the highest level of absolute gamma. And I note that every day for all the stocks in my watch list. And again, remember, this is from yesterday. The color coding indicates that the level dropped from the previous day. So this is showing for Apple, for example, that this 140 level was lower than the previous day, which is not shown on this chart. So I just keep the previous day and the current day. And what I do at the beginning of the day is I just take this entire current key gamma strike column and shift it over to the right, and then I clear out the color coding and then start over for the day. So this is what I had yesterday, and the important thing to note for SPY was the decrease from 390 to 380, and then I note that the previous day this key gamma strike also dropped probably from 400 to 390. So there at least two consecutive drops in the key gamma strike. And again, I look at that as bearish. That is, indicates interest in lower levels of price and bearish sentiment. Okay, so that gets my attention. And the next thing that I want to look at is the 5-day history in Equity Hub. And here I can see that, and this is a scenario taking you step by step through my process. So I see that indeed, let me just actually move that over a little bit so we can see the numbers. So indeed, yes, the key gamma strike dropped from 400 to 390 to 380. And one thing to keep in mind here, this 12/16, that was Friday. That was the big Friday monthly expiration. So I see these other strikes kind of all over the place. For the key delta strike, the hedge wall, call wall, now the put wall is held steady at 380 until today. And this change in position could be related to the 12/16 expiration. Okay, so I've got again, this is yesterday. I have a bearish directional bias for SPY, and I've done a little bit of research prior to the market open, and that has helped me develop my thesis. And then as the market opened, and I post this in Bookmap Discord in the Options with Doug chat room every day. I try to get it out by about 9:45 a.m., about 15 minutes after the open, and I rank my watch list from the weakest signal to the strongest signal if I'm bearish. and I was yesterday. And what this is showing is the current signal for today in relation to the last 30 days and the last 5 days. And this light gray bar shows the last 30 days. So this shows that SPY, the hero signal, is the weakest that it has been in the last 30 days. And then this colored section indicates the signal for the last 5 days. So this also shows that SPY is weaker than it has been. The hero signal for SPY is weaker than it has been in the last 5 days. So that is another confirmation of my thesis. So now, and I usually start at the top of the list when I'm looking for a trade. So the next step is to take a look at the hero signal, and I see this divergence. So hero, the purple line, and this is showing both call and put transactions, is moving lower, and while price is making just about equal highs. So this if you were fast, just watching this in the morning, you could have, there are a couple of short entries here or here as hero continued to drop. So a couple of short divergent setups in the morning. And let's just take a look at the call and put signal. And this sometimes helps to clarify what you're seeing. And you can see see that traders were buying puts as price chopped around, again giving a good indication of some short entries there. And here's how the day played out in SPY. I've noted the short entries here. So the way I approach this, once I see that, I've gone through all the setups. I see, I've marked up my key gamma strike list. I've confirmed that in Equity Hub. Then at the open, I sort my list from weakest to strongest. I see SPY as the top of the list, and I note that divergence, especially the early one in SPY, and then I shift over to Bookmap, and I'm looking for an entry, and I see the bearish order flow here. This is the first, I think really good entry, or the way, where I would enter is right here. I see the absorption at the point of control. That's the purple line, and then the move lower. And then one key thing to note here is this price target. And note the high liquidity at the 380 put wall. So there's your confirmation in Bookmap, and at this point you've developed a thesis. You see the hero signal, the divergence, and you're just looking at Bookmap, or I was looking at Bookmap for a short entry. And let's this is the ES chart. So with the S&P 500, there are a number of ways to trade it. futures contracts, SPY shares, SPY options, SPX options, all would have worked yesterday. And one final thing that I want to point out is there were some questions yesterday, I believe, in YouTube about Tesla. And let's just go back to this, noting that the hero signal for Tesla was strong, was at the bottom of this list, ranked from weakest to strongest. And Tesla was actually moving down yesterday, and there was a question about that. And one thing to keep in mind is what this is showing is again, it's comparing the current signal with the last 5 days and the last 30 days. And let's take a look at a Tesla chart. So this is Tesla and Thinkorswim, and note the downtrend from pretty much the September expiration until now. And so if you're saying that the hero signal is strong compared to the last 5 days and the last 30 days, that's not necessarily saying a lot, because Tesla has been so weak. So it may be yesterday it was stronger than it has been in the the last 5 and 30 days, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is strong. So again, keep in mind that about what these things are showing. Okay, so now let's talk about some setups for today. And I'm going to go through the list. I'm going to hit a couple of highlights from the list that I posted this morning. And let me just bring that up. So this is from today. See, this is 12/20. This is from today. And again, I ranked my hero signal from weakest to strongest. And I'm going to hit a couple of highlights here. And first is Moderna. And this is a new addition to my watch list. I'm not that familiar with price action in Moderna yet. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. And it was actually a bullish setup. So let's take a look at Moderna. And let me just check for questions. And there's a question on YouTube. Yes, the list that I was showing for the SPY example was from yesterday. And then I just showed the list from today with Netflix at the top, and that is from today. So the previous list that I showed was from yesterday for the SPY example. And then the list that I just showed was from today. So this is Moderna. And this is showing a very strong correlation between price action and options trades in Moderna. And let's break out calls and puts. And we can see that primarily calls are driving. I'm going to zoom in a bit. And I would consider this somewhat of a divergence here, as both the put line and call line were fairly flat as price dropped down here to this level at about 945, and then price started to increase. And let's go back and look at the total signal. So there's not much of a lead effect here, but I would definitely see this and be watching for an entry point for a long in Bookmap. So now let's go to Bookmap. Take a look at Moderna. And I've highlighted some pullback entries. So the first thing to note is the pullback to the 190 hedge wall, and then price moves higher after that. So that was really the first entry point. And I'm going to zoom in on this. Kind of and focus mainly on the morning session here. And so we first note that, at this point, again, looking at Hero, the Hero line was flat while price was dropping. And at that point in my divergence setup, so I make a note that I'm thinking long entry. And also, let's just go back and take a look at that. The signal for Moderna, it's from 1220. It's still weak, so no clue there. But again, looking at this in real time, I see the flat Hero line, not confirming the price drop. The next step, I see the 190 hedge wall as a potential reversal level, and you can see that price does first. See the aggressive buyers coming in there with the green dots, and then just look for a pullback entry, and finally you note this target at the 200 key gamma strike. And like some higher price stocks, liquidity is usually at the 5 and the 0 levels, and that is the case here with Moderna. So an entry down lower with the first price target at 195, and then secondary price target at the 200 key gamma strike, and again based off a slight Hero divergence and a reversal at the 190 hedge wall. So that was really just about the best setup that I saw today. And let's see what else is in play for Moderna today. It looks like if Moderna continues higher, the next stopping point, the next target is the 205 level. Let's go back and take a look at Hero and see what it is, see what Hero is doing right now. And I'm going to change this look back period to a shorter rolling window. So now I'm just looking at the past 30 minutes of data. And this is showing that traders are starting to sell calls and buy puts as price has come up to this level. So if I were looking for a bullish entry to head up to that 205 level, then I would wait for this to turn around. Let's see if there's any additional insight from dropping that rolling window lower. Okay, so traders are taking advantage of the higher prices to sell calls and buy puts. So no, in my the way I see things, no long entry at this point. All right, let's take a look at NVIDIA now. I'm going to arrange these in alphabetical order. And pretty choppy day in NVIDIA, and I thought there was a and need to know, ask about separate videos on my strategy. Well, there are a couple things. I have done, I believe, 3 Pro Trader webinars for Bookmap, and those should be available on the Bookmap YouTube channel. And also, I did 6 case studies for Spotgamma boot camp. But I don't know. First of all, that that was a paid event, and I don't know if those videos are available for anybody who wants to see them later. You might contact Spotgamma, and I go through my approach in detail in those 6 case studies. So what I saw here was a divergence set up for a short in NVIDIA. Watching Hero drop, especially from here to here as price was increasing. Setting up a short setup that took a while to play out. So let's go take a look at Bookmap now. Take a look at NVIDIA. And need to know, I have also written a number of articles for the Spotgamma blog. Those are free to everyone. I'll post a link after my webinar in Bookmap Discord. So this is what I was looking at. This is not nearly as good a setup as the setup in Moderna, at least the kind of setup that I like to trade. But there's the kind of a series of lower highs here. And then this break of the trend line with a 160 put wall as a target. So more of a scalp. Again, with this 160 put wall liquidity as a target. So a 2-point, there's a 2-point scalp in NVIDIA, and note this reversal was at the 162 hedge wall. And now let's take a look at SPY. And there were a couple of divergent setups that I saw. I'm going to zoom in a bit here. And the first was the setup right here as Hero starts to fall and then price follows a little bit later. So that was the first divergent setup, and so that was a divergence lower. And then this one I think is even more clear as this with this divergence higher. And let's just see what traders are doing here. So no clarity by breaking this out into puts and calls, really. Or no additional clarity, I don't think. All right, so let's go take a look at Bookmap now. And here is the setup lower. And let me just point out, and this is something that I don't look at enough, but I should, is this is, I'm going to go back to Spotgamma, the founder's note, and note here, this is showing potential support and resistance levels in SPY, and there's that 382 level. And somebody pointed this out, asked a question about this in Bookmap Discord this morning, Zen 550, and I appreciate the question. Again, it's something that I don't look at it enough, but it was significant today. So again, thanks for pointing that out. Let's go back to Bookmap. So there's the, looking at that, then we can anticipate that 382 LG2, that's large gamma 2 level, could potentially be resistance, and in fact it does act as a resistance. And then noting the divergence in Spotgamma Hero, you're just looking for a short entry at that point. And one interesting thing to point out, and this is often the case with SPY, is how significant the round number levels are in SPY. And I have I've drawn rectangles around all the levels where I think there's a kind of a significant interaction with a round number level, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a Spotgamma level, within a few ticks. So there are quite a number of those levels here. And remember, this morning the reversal in ES was at the 3800 SPX level, and that also corresponds to the 378 SPY level. So just note all the the number of rectangles here, again, showing some sort of significant interaction at a round number level. And if you trade ES, again, I think it's important to keep track of the SPY and SPX levels. All right, let me just check for questions. And RT asked, RT asked, how did you know to go long Moderna when your list had it in the middle as neither weak or strong? And that's where the second step in my trading process comes in. So let's go back to Moderna, and working my way down the list. If I got that far, and Moderna may be something that I want to trade, and we can take a quick look in Equity Hub and see if there's anything that that would have gotten our attention. I saw that it was in the middle of the list. It might not be where I start, but there may be something else that got my attention for Moderna. But anyway, assuming that that it did, the order flow and the hedging flow confirm this rally. So that's the second step in my process. Always use order flow and market maker hedging flow to confirm your thesis. And just based on the position of the list, I would say I had no thesis for Moderna. And let's just go take a look at Hero. And if it had caught my attention, let's just see if there's anything else in here, any changes in levels that would have caught my attention. And really the only thing is the increase in the call wall. From 200 to 210. So the key gamma strike is held at 200 for the last 5 days. And we can take a look at one other thing. And now this gets my attention. So this is the skew diagram for Moderna, and what this is showing is implied volatility, which you can equate to interest in options, with as demand for calls or puts increases, you expect the implied volatility to increase. And what this is showing is implied volatility for calls above the delta 50 level, the at the money strike. So this is calls above and puts below. And this is a change for Moderna, showing the increase in put in call interest shown by this sloping line, and this is most likely for the calls that expire at the end of this week. So the dashed lines are showing the next expiration, which would be this Friday for Moderna, and the solid lines are showing implied volatility for the expiration that's about or approximately 30 days out. So this does catch my attention, is from Friday to yesterday there was an increase in implied volatility, and also this line is sloping up, indicating an increase in calls or interest in calls. And also note the increase in the call wall. So now that is enough. If I did my, if I was interested in Moderna and wanted to trade this in my pre-market planning, I would note this, and that would lead me to have a bullish thesis. Again, the increase in call wall, increase in the call wall from 200 to 210, and this is showing the increase in interest in calls and the increase in implied volatility from Friday to yesterday. And let me just show you for comparison the chart for SPY, and note that this line, all these lines are sloping up on the put side, but they're flat to slightly down on the call side. And this is very typical of SPY. SPY is used for hedging typically, and there's always an increased demand for puts in SPY and SPX. So that I hope that answers your question. So again, it takes some time to put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and I look at a lot of stocks. So potentially without Moderna being on one end of the list or the other, I might have missed it. But if you dig in further, you can see the clues here that again, the increase in interest in calls above was a clue that you might want to look for a long entry in Moderna, and then the order flow and the market maker hedging flow confirm that. And finally, let's take a look at Tesla. And as usual, there is a very strong correlation between options trades, market maker hedging flow, and price action in Tesla. And it looks like mostly puts driving price action. And let's zoom in on this morning. And I would take this as a divergence lower in puts. And let's just go back to the total signal here. And let's now take a look at Bookmap. Go to Tesla. So the order flow shows very good setups here. Break of this trend line, and you could have gotten in on this sell sweep here, or the break of the trend line, and a pullback to the VWAP, and then pullback entries below. The first target would be the 144 liquidity there, and then the primary target is this is the 140 put wall and the liquidity. And notice that it has been in there since the open, and that is the level with the highest liquidity that I see on the chart here, and that is the clear price target. Let's just take a look at cumulative volume delta. And kind of a mixed signal here, definitely bearish here as these pink dots. These are buy minus sell, so this indicates that sell market orders are dominating. from this drop from 147 all the way to 142. So definitely bearish order flow after the pullback to VWAP and the move lower. Okay, my time is just about up. Let me take a look and see if there are any final questions. And Mike Walker asked, will Tesla see 140 today? And who knows? Let's just go check Hero again, and let's change the look back period to 30 minutes. So right now, I would look for, if I were looking for 140, then I would look for Hero to drop lower. So I would say if this drop had continued, I would say for sure 140 is next. But I would, again, I would look for if I were looking for a short entry, I would look for Hero to start dropping again, and then that 140 would be the natural price target. And RT asks, the put wall, call walls correlate to high areas of liquidity. Yes, all the time. And that is the definition of the put wall and call wall. The put wall is the well, not necessarily liquidity in Bookmap, but you often do see liquidity at those levels. But the put wall and call walls are the put wall is the level with the highest net negative gamma. So that is that's based on open interest in the options chain, and then the call wall is the level with the highest net positive gamma. And often liquidity is that you see in Bookmap. That's the orders that are in there for the stock are concentrated at those levels. Not always, but that is often the case. And there's a question, we want to see ES for 30 minutes. We can do that. Let's go back to 30 minutes. And it's often pretty, can get pretty choppy as you drop that rolling window period. So there's ES. And one last thing I want to point out, there is a new version of Hero now. I'm still using the old version, but this is the new version that shows the dark mode. And I'll start to incorporate this as time goes on. Okay, check for final questions in Discord. And I don't see any. Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up at this point. Thank you very much for attending, and thanks for your questions and comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye.